being no form, in going and returning we never leave home. Our thought now being no thought, our dancing and songs are the voice of the Dharma. How vast is the heaven of boundless samadhi. How bright and transparent the moonlight of wisdom. What is there outside us? What is there we lack? Nirvana is openly shown to our eyes. This earth where we stand is the pure lotus land, and this very body, the body of Buddha. This is the 6th day of this January 1982 7-day sesshin. Before continuing to read and finish the letter to the abbess of Shinryu-ji, taken from the 3 Pillars of Zen, let me read you an excerpt from what is called here one of Rinzai's sermons, or talks, teishos, whatever. And it's taken from an article found in The Eastern Buddhist by D.T. Suzuki. The article is entitled 3 Types of Thought in Japanese Zen. He's talking about Dogen, Hakuin, and Rinzai. Rinzai, Linchi in Chinese, known for his toughness. There's a drawing of him with fierce eyes and a clenched fist. It's already striking. It's still resting in his lap. Known for his ear-shattering katzes, which he shouted at monks no matter what they did, whether they did something or didn't do anything. Rinzai Zen is known for the active Zen, as compared to Soto, which is more easygoing. All of these, of course, being images. Let's hear this excerpt from a talk of Rinzai's. I don't have a thing to give you. All I do is cure your ills and take the chains off you. You men of the way, try to come forward here independent of all things. I'd like to have a real exchange with you. But I've been waiting 10 years now. There hasn't been a single man yet. All I've had here is ghosts hanging around the tree leaves and in the grass, disembodied spirits in the woods and bamboo groves. Fox spooks. Fox always known for clever words, great cunning and disguises, biting madly into so many heaps of filth. I'm telling you, there isn't any Buddha. No holy teaching, no practicing, and no realizing. What are you doing looking around in neighbors' houses? You mole-eyed monks, putting on another head over your own. What do you lack in yourselves? You men of the way, what you're making use of here right now is the very thing that makes a Buddha and a patriarch. What you're making use of here right now is the very thing that makes a Buddha. But you don't believe that. You go on seeking outwardly. Make no mistake about it. There isn't any Dharma outside. There's nothing inside you that you can lay your hands on either. You grasp at the words from my mouth. What you should do is stop what you're doing. Do nothing. As far as I'm concerned, there isn't much to do. Just be ordinary. Put on your robes, eat your rice, pass the time doing nothing. You come here from all over wanting to seek Buddha, wanting to seek Dharma, wanting to seek emancipation, wanting to seek to get out of the 3 realms. When you've left the 3 realms, where are you going to go? Buddha, Patriarch, those names only fetter you up in chains of praise. is this doing nothing? May turn out to be supreme activity. That sounds too comparative. The only activity, the only action. Because the actor has got lost. The last paragraph we read yesterday said, there was a bodhisattva who attained enlightenment by concentrating intently on every sound he heard. So Buddha called him Kanon. If you would know the substance of the mind, Buddha, the very instant you hear a sound, search for this one who hears. Thus you will unfailingly come to the realization that your own mind is no different from Kanon. Do not try to prevent thoughts from arising, and do not cling to any that have arisen. Let them appear and disappear as they will. Don't struggle with them. Or as Rinzai says, do nothing. You need only unremittingly and with all your heart ask yourself, what is my own mind? What is this mind? Or what is it? What is this? Or who or moo? Or just listening or looking? Just sitting? Not knowing? That too is the questioning mind. I keep urging this because I want to bring you to self-realization. When you persistently try to understand what is beyond the domain of the intellect, you're bound to reach a dead end, completely baffled. But push on. Maybe we can say, just keep questioning. Doesn't need to be any pushing in this. Pushing is the pusher who wants something or wants to avoid something. Wants something that one has already imagined, visualized. Sitting or standing, working or sleeping, probe tirelessly to your deepest self with the question, what is my own mind? Oh, moo. Fear nothing but the failure to experience your true nature. Let's say something about this. Fear nothing but the failure to experience your true nature. Why should you even think of failure or success? A whole host of images and past experiences and past imprints are brought up with this. All I'm afraid of is that I may fail to come to realization. People tell me that. It's clear. If you think of failure, you're already one. You don't know what failure is. You don't know what success is. Neither do I. Can you question this wanting to be a success or not wanting to be a failure? It's wanting. What is this endless blind wanting? Moo-hoo, right there. That's where you need to question. Not wonder in your mind, in your thinking mind, if you're going to fail and what's going to happen. Then you're just thinking. Either it's this thought or it's that thought. And this one is particularly emotion arousing. Because we all were failures when we were little already. Because we weren't big. Our mother or father could pick us up. We couldn't pick them up. Put them someplace where we wanted them to be. Remember Kyle once telling me a story. He used to be a school principal. And the kids were still swinging outside on the swing. The bell had already rung, so he went outside. There was this little kindergartner still swinging away. And Kyle said, he's a very gentle person. He said, isn't it time to go inside? And the little guy put his arms in his armpits and he said, behave! Fear nothing. Can we leave it there? Or maybe fear nothing, but this constant wanting to run away from fear. Fear itself, once you're with it, what is it? You don't even know because you're running. The fear is the running is the fear. What is it? What am I afraid of? Don't you need to find out? Then whoo or moo right into that fear. It is the fear. It is moo, hoo, the breathing. It's all that. What is it? When you don't run away into thoughts. Imagining future hells or whatever. We run away into fearful thoughts, then we're afraid of those. Where is it going to end? Fear nothing. And can one keep that childlike curiosity alive? That doesn't leave a drawer unpulled or a box unopened. Just to try to see what's in it. Just putting a hand in there. This is Zen practice. Work. Let's gradually phase out this word practice. Practice makes perfect. Practice also makes mechanical. When the intense questioning envelops every inch of you, when the intense questioning envelops every inch of you and penetrates to the very bottom of all bottoms, not really knowing what is a bottom. You don't know where the bottom is. If you expect one, then you're going to look for one. If you don't expect one, then there is no bottom. There's only not knowing. When the intense questioning envelops every inch of you and penetrates to the very bottom of all bottoms, the question will suddenly burst. And the substance of the Buddha mind be revealed. Just as a mirror in a box can reflect only after the box is broken apart. Quite a number of people come into Dokes and they say, I know what's the matter with me. I feel I'm going to explode or fall apart. Fall apart. Do explode. What are you trying to keep together? Except images of yourself and your life and zazen and enlightenment. And how you look to other people. How you want or don't want to be seen. Can't it all fall apart? And you keep patching it up. Keep patching up this straitjacket. Only after the box is broken apart. What is the box? What are the walls? This is where you put your question right into the wall. The pain, the fear, the ugliness that comes up. What is it if I have no judgment? If I don't compare it with anything? If I'm just in touch with it? Not knowing what it is and yet not running away. The radiance of this mind, says Bassui, will light up every corner of the universe. Free from even a single blemish. You will be liberated at last from all entanglements within the 6 realms. All effects of evil actions having vanished. The joy of this moment cannot be put into words. And yet one deluded thought in the Buddha is an ordinary being. One enlightened thought in an ordinary being is a Buddha. When you read this, when people read this, they think that one clear seeing and bursting in clarity and understanding and no division, that now, according to Bassui, what I read there over and over, should take care of everything in my whole life. Does it? Find out. Or does this work go on unceasingly? One is always walking a razor's edge. And traps spring up as quick as thoughts and images. Particularly the image of being a liberated one or an enlightened one, which is an image. If there's really attention, complete whole attention, where would there be room for this image? Or if it is there, it'll melt. It'll be seen as so much I don't know what. All effects of evil action having vanished, We recite one true samadhi extinguishes evils. Samadhi being an instant where there is no me. Where this instant is disconnected from all memory, from all past associations, which is the karma. Then where are the dark paths? You don't even ask that question at a moment like that. You just do what needs to be done and see what comes up and see it thoroughly. Or else you're going to delude yourself over again. Back in the box. The box of this label or that label as distinguished from other boxes. Why do we live like that? Because it's cozy in a box. Like Caterpillar. Loves to be in a drawer. It's our cat. Or in a shopping bag. You put down a shopping bag and in she goes. It's cozy in there. We've talked quite a bit together about the Kanon room because a lot has been mentioned. Will the new place have a Kanon room? Because it's good to be in that Kanon room. A lot of things have happened to me in the Kanon room. We've looked quite freely and honestly at this being in this little room. The little room itself has something, doesn't it? Out of this big zendo. And in a little room, by oneself, or maybe two more people. And even the most stringent instructions to say, in the Kanon room you can just sit before Kanon. Don't have to push on with a mu or hu. Just sit for a moment, doing nothing. If you look at the figure in there, it has nothing to bestow. It's simple. It promises nothing. Bassui continues, consider a person suffering intensely in a dream where, having fallen into hell, he's being tortured. Only once he awakens, his suffering ceases, for he is now liberated from this delusion. While in the dream it was so real. In a dream, no one can tell you this is just a dream. And sometimes even if one wakes up, particularly from a nice dream, one wants to, hey, why did I want to finish that dream. One always wants to know the outcome of the story. There is no end. Or is there? In the same way, Bassui continues, through self-realization one frees himself from the sufferings of birth and death. From the sufferings of birth and death. What are the sufferings of it? Isn't it the fear? The fear of it, the fear of the idea of it, the fear of all these ideas, of these fearful ideas that haunt us and that people instill in us, and that we instill in ourselves by reading horror stories and going to horror movies. Once you're faced with a crisis or an emergent situation, usually one acts. One also may be paralyzed, but very often one acts in amazingly adequate and appropriate ways. And afterwards, if one thinks, my God, what could have happened to me? One still brings up fear ex post facto. For enlightenment, Bassui continues, not nobility of birth or wide learning, but only strong determination is essential. We talked on the first day about this strong determination. Is it just talking oneself into, I'm going to do this, I'm going to work up determination, and this always with the aid of a goal. There has to be a goal for that. Or is it this undaunted urgency which comes from seeing how one lives a tortured life and a torturing life, a cramped life, a pressured life? Haunted. From that arises this urgency to find out if there can be change. A complete turnover. Buddhas bear the same relation to sentient beings as water does to ice. Ice, like stone or brick, cannot flow, but when it melts, it flows freely in conformity with its surroundings. What makes it melt? Heat makes it melt. The heat of needing to find out. The heat of the crisis if it's seen. The heat of the yearning. One knows not really quite for what. One person told me once, as a boy watching, he spent a lot of time in the woods, in the springtime watching the ice on the little rivers melt. In the springtime things warm up. He said it would at times be an enormous crack and chunks of ice would fly high up into the sky. It seemed so impossible. It was such a thick layer. and so heavy. And here chunks just flying up sky high. When it melts, it flows freely in conformity with its surroundings. Which is also the freedom of not flowing in conformity with the surroundings. If it's clear that there needs to be a different flow. Both of them are freedom. If it's just reaction, it's not freedom. Then what one is reacting to is still simmering inside. So as long as one remains in a state of delusion, one is like ice, cold and unbending, brittle, sort of stuck. But that's no permanent state, just as there is no such thing as a permanent state. Upon realization, Bassui says, he becomes as exquisitely free as water. So you will understand there is no difference between ordinary beings and Buddhas, except for one thing, delusion. Often referred to as false thinking. When it is dissolved, they are identical. Don't allow yourself to become discouraged. Well, it's upon one before one has either allowed or disallowed. There it is, discouragement. Deep discouragement, at times despair. It's there. What are you going to do about it? You can work with it right then and there, because that too is mu and hu. What is it? Certainly all kinds of murky, muddy, discomforting feelings associated with it. What are they? What is it? If you think I shouldn't have gotten myself into this, then there are more of those feelings. Every thought brings about a feeling. Where is it going to come to an end with that? Only one place, it's when you start questioning it. With no end in sight, just where you are. We vow endlessly Dharma gates beyond measure. What does it mean? Is it just a word? Or something which I will understand maybe in 5 or 10 years? And this beyond measure means precisely not measuring, not comparing with any standards, no standards. just questioning where you are, as you are, not knowing how you are, which means no words. Oh, that's not a word. Oh, what is this? Oh, just being that. No one standing outside looking in, or inside looking out. No one, nothing, just that. What is it? And our discouragement is no discouragement. Despair is not despair. Pain is not pain. Fear is not fear. Bassui continues, if your desire for truth is wanting, you may be unable to attain enlightenment in this life. But if you carry on your Zen practice faithfully, even while dying, you will unquestionably achieve enlightenment in your next existence. Why does he say that? I wonder. Does he know that? Can he guarantee that? Or is it a comfort? Is Bassui comforting? It's hard to believe. Or does he just say, don't even start thinking of failure? I myself have mentioned it previously in the letter, but don't think of it now. It can be really a comforting postponement. In my next life I'll do it. Whose next life? If there is no entity. In another letter or a talk, Bassui says, if you're not coming to realization now, when will you? So, words are different at different times. Don't cling to any of them. But don't dawdle, he goes right on, but don't dawdle. Imagine yourself on your deathbed at this very moment. What alone can help you? What alone can prevent you from falling into hell because of your transgressions? It becomes a threat again, doesn't it? Aren't we in hell? Well, maybe we're feeling pretty good right now. Things are going well. So then does somebody have to threaten us? It's done in the churches. Fire and brimstone, it's called. Sermons, Wait for the judgment day and you'll be sorry. It's true that if one doesn't see through it, then anger, greed, ignorance, jealousy, envy, it all continues. It does continue. Whether I do or not. So is one going to motivate a person by the threatening image of falling into hell because of one's transgressions? Then there's fear in that work. And wanting something, the absence of hell. Not falling into hell, that's why I'm going to work hard. Or to be good in the sight of God. And one doesn't see what one really is in the sight of oneself. Bassui continues, fortunately, there's a broad path to liberation. From your very roots, ask this one question: what is my Buddha mind? If you would see the substance of all Buddhas in a trice, realize your own mind. Is what I say true or false? Ask yourself this instant, what is my own Buddha mind? Omu, Ohu, what is this? Upon your enlightenment, the lotus will blossom in a roaring fire and endure throughout eternity. What's eternity? Is that connected with thinking? Is eternity a thought? When there's no thought, then there's no time. Is enduring for eternity a concept? Or is there something which is completely untouched by time? Which means by thinking. What is it? I can't get at it with thinking. I can't get at it. Bassui ends up here. Man inherently is no different from the lotus. Why can't you grasp this? We will end here for today. The four vows.
All beings without number,
I vow to liberate endless blind passions. I vow to uproot Dhamma gates beyond measure. I vow to penetrate